Hmm.
How are you?
Awesome. And then we've got Paul Rosen with us as always each week. Paul comes on, talks to us about Giants and NFL, but Paul is also a Mets fan, so he's going to be part of this too. So another fellow Met fan to talk a little Mets.
So I should be back. Beelan was
So
saying
still
I
on?
was muted, but I should be back. So I want to again welcome Daniel. He's one of our interns. He does all our social media, Facebook and Twitter. Daniel, you're doing an awesome job. Thank you so much. He's here to talk some Mets. I also want to give a shout out to Olivia. She does a lot of the stuff on our podcast formats with Anchor, and she also does. She's doing a lot now for K&K. She's working on Kenny a bunch of MLB spreadsheets with all the transactions, and we got her also. She worked on a football pool we're gonna get to, and then we also have Rachel, who I got to talk with her a little bit. She does all our social media where it's like gonna say what's coming on. Like tomorrow night's our college football bowl show, so we will have. She does all the designs and stuff like that. So all three of the interns have been doing an awesome job.
Thank you guys for doing that amazing job. We really truly appreciate the work and effort you put in for us each day.
And Beelan starting off saying, sorry for you Met fans. Don't worry, Uncle Stevie is here to buy you some rings. LOL, Daniel. So he's a brave fan, Daniel.
He's a brave fan. He's going to talk. He's going to talk. But Paul wanted to talk about something real quick before we get into our Mets discussion. It had to do with the Mets, I believe. And the floor is yours. Well,
hey guys. So over the weekend, I don't know if you heard with all the college football and NFL, the Hall of Fame inducted some new inductees. So congratulations to Buck O'Neil, Jim Cott, Tony Oliva, Minnie Minoso, and Bud Fowler. But the one individual who I wanted to acknowledge was a time Dodger first baseman, Met manager who basically transformed the Mets from a losing joke of a baseball team to the miracle Mets, Gil Hodges. It was too long overdue that Gil should have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I just wanted to congratulate him and his family. Like I said, it was long overdue for Gil Hodges to finally have been inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So I just wanted to acknowledge that today.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thanks. That's awesome, Paul.
And we have two Met fans. I'm going to start with Daniel, then I'll go with Paul. You guys will both answer the same question, but exciting time for you guys, Met fans. You know, you're always used to the Yankees making the big splash and always hearing, you know, the Wilpons don't have money. You know, we don't have money. We can't get this guy. We can't get that guy. But there's a role reversal. You guys, it's Christmas in November for you guys. You know, you made the three big splashes and then you go get Scherzer. So Daniel, real quick, what's your thoughts on the Mets offseason so far? Because it's not over, but so far, how happy can you be as a Met fan of what, like he's calling him Uncle Stevie, has done for you Met fans?
I mean, there's really no way I can complain. As you said, the Wilpons my whole life, just every offseason, just so like we never really got the quote unquote big fish. It was always kind of like shopping the clearance aisle. And it's just so nice now to actually know, like, wow, like no one is out of our reach. Like he has the money. I mean, Steve Cohen, I know there's an art sculpture in his house that's worth like $200 million. It's like a stick figure. It's like that alone could have covered Scherzer's contract. So it's just really nice not having to worry about the like spending aspect and just knowing that we have an owner who grew up a Mets fan and who actually wants the best for a franchise and isn't tied up in a Ponzi scheme and has all different things he has to deal with. So it's very nice.
Paul, what's your thoughts so far?
Yeah, I mean, any Mets fan that isn't happy with this offseason so far, they must be smoking something because it's like Daniel just said. We're used to the Wilpons skipping and saving and going in the. I think Scott Boras once described it as the clearance aisle, as opposed to shopping at Bloomingdale's. So the fact of the matter is, to get a guy like Scherzer, where probably in the past that never would have happened, is a wonderful thing for Mets fans. And I don't think they're done. I think if this lockout finally is over, whether it's January, February, at some point, I think they need some additions in the pitching on the pitching staff. They've got to get a couple of more bullpen help, but overall, you got to like the start of how they've gone about improving the team so far.
Now we got a comment from Beelan disagreeing with you guys a little, saying you guys signed Piazza, but I think you didn't sign him. I think you traded for
We
Piazza,
traded for him.
Beltran, and even Pedro after his unreal season. But I agree with you guys. You guys never really went, like Daniel said, for the big fish. There was always the Yankees, so I think it's a fresh, breath of fresh air for you guys. So you mentioned. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kenny. Go ahead.
Well, if you got another question, Kurt, go ahead. But I got a question.
Well, I just wanted Daniel's answer because Paul got my second question of what else, Daniel, do you think the Mets need to do?
Definitely. I mean, as Paul said, definitely pitching help. I think the offense is, for the most part, set in stone now. They might get one more bat. But there were problems with the bullpen last year. Second half of the season, they had a lot of problems with the rotation. Stroman went to Chicago now. Obviously we got Scherzer, but there's still a lot of question marks. Carlos Carrasco last year, he was battling injury problems the whole year, came back and really just was not good. And to be fair, I mean he really didn't get like full spring training or anything under his belt. But same with Taiwan Walker, he was an all-star. Then the wheels completely fell off, specifically after the spider tack crackdown. So there's a lot that are question marks in the back end of the rotation, because really even DeGrom to an extent is a question mark, just with he missed basically the rest of the season after early July. So I think they're definitely gonna have to get at least one starter to kind of short things up, because we have a lot of guys that could go great, but also the wheels could fall off. And I know with the money he spent, he's gonna want to make sure he has kind of insurance if someone goes down or if things don't go as planned. As for the bullpen really was not great last year. Aside from Aaron Luke, who had like a sub 1 ERA, he went to Los Angeles now. So really, we don't have a like elite reliever on the team. There's a lot of guys who are mediocre. Seth Lugo, Jerry's Familia, for example, who will be okay, who can get you by, but aren't going to really get you to where you need to be if you want to be an elite team in the league.
And one more for me I got Kenny. I knew you want to ask one, but just piggybacking on this question, I'll start with Paul. Give me one name each. That it doesn't matter if it's a pitcher or a bat. One guy where you would be like that would finish this offseason if we can grab him. Who would it be? Anybody you guys have in mind?
Yeah, I'll tell you a guy who's a free agent. I don't know whether he would come here and whether the team that he's with is making a move. But I hate Daniel. I don't know how you feel about this, but I cannot stand Diaz. I would love to see them try and reach out and get Hensley Jensen. If there's one guy to complete the bullpen, that would be the guy. I would try and get him.
Daniel,
that's exactly what I had in my mind when you asked exactly that question.
What I was going to say too.
So you guys want that guy?
That's exactly what was on my mind.
All right, Kenny. Anything else? I have one more from.
Yeah, I got one. I got a question. So I'll start with Daniel. All the moves the Mets made. You got Scherzer. Now your pitching staff's looking great. Like, you make it to the playoffs, it's gonna be tough to beat the Mets just with that 1-2 punch. You got Starling Marte. You guys said you need a bullpen, but another thing you need is a manager. You don't have a manager yet. Not saying a name. If you want to throw a name out there, you can throw a name out there. But what type of manager do you think the Mets should go after? An experienced manager with a history, or a newcomer, maybe like a rookie manager, a guy who doesn't have much experience? Does it matter what kind of manager the Mets go
I
after, in your opinion?
I personally like Buck Showalter. I think he has a lot to offer. He's experienced, but I also like his philosophies because I think a big problem with Luis Rojas in New York was he managed off of analytics and analytics only. So I don't personally think he had like a feel for the game. He made a lot of questionable moves, keeping starters in too late or pulling them way too early. And a lot of his rationales in his post game press conferences to me just didn't make any sense. Like he was kind of just saying things to defend himself as opposed to like admitting like yeah like that wasn't the right move. So Buck Showalter has kind of proved himself to use analytics to an extent, but also has, as we know, for a very long time, like a feel for the game and know what's right and kind of see what's going on. And I think he'll be able to kind of provide that leadership in the clubhouse that maybe Luis Rojas wasn't exactly able to give. And also Max Scherzer has been very vocal about wanting Showalter, and I think just that alone is going to be huge.
Kenny, Eddie Murphy is saying Buck Showalter, or Eddie Murphy is saying, or call Beltran back up. Beelan does not like Buck Showalter. He says no. Beelan's saying
He's not managing the Braves.
He's saying, I bet they signed Brad Asmus. He was with Epler back in L.A. So
before I ask Paul that same question, Kurt, two guys that you're gonna love. Like, you guys should go on YouTube and watch Wally Backman.
Yeah, Backman's not gonna.
YouTube video.
Wally Backman is not gonna be managing the Mets.
What? I gotta send you guys a video of Wally Backman's antics. But I think he was in the Braves minor league system. Kurt, remember the manager who crawled?
Yeah.
Through the rosin bag like it was a bomb.
Yeah.
Then he took the base and walked off. Well, what kind of manager would you want, Paul? Would you want like a feisty manager, a quiet type? What kind of experience? No experience?
I don't want Billy Martin. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I have two names that I would like. One, I've sort of heard rumors, Bruce Bochy, whose name was thrown out there, whether that's true or not, because of his pedigrees and everything with the Giants. But Buck Showalter, as Daniel alluded to, the reason I like him is, number one, his experience. He's managed in 4 different places, and I'll get to my second reason in a second. Every place that he's managed, he's improved, and they've become winners. Secondly, you guys know managing or coaching in New York or playing in New York is different than any other place in the country. He's managed with the Yankees in New York, and he was successful. The third reason is when he went to the Yankees, their culture, some of you guys will remember, was broken. Their system had not been that good from the late 80s into the early 90s. That's when he took over. Same thing with the Mets now. He would be coming in a situation where he can put his take and spin on what the Mets need to do in a culture that's, quite frankly, hasn't been right for many, many years. So for all of those reasons, he would be my number one manager. I think they need someone who's a little older. And, many people will say, well, does he relate to the younger players? Just to add this, Brian Snitker, Dusty Baker, and Tony La Russa are older than Buck Showalter, and they all made the playoffs last year with relatively young teams. So bring him in. He wouldn't be intimidated in New York, and I think with the type of team they have, I think he would be successful.
Now,
you want anything for Mets for these guys?
No.
Sis, I just got one for you, Sis, because guys, Sis is a Yankee fan, we know that, but he did say it was enjoyable watching the Mets last year, and they played a little more of a small ball. They got the pitching. Yep. So, Sis, I guess I'll ask you first, and then my last one for Daniel and Paul.
All right.
And again, it's early, but with the addition from what you saw of the Mets last year, with their additions, Marte, the other bats that they got. In particular, now they got Matt Scherzer.
Right.
Right now, it's way early, but right now, would you consider them a World Series contender, sis?
They're definitely going to be a World Series contender. Yeah, they're loaded. They're really loaded.
And no,
And if
that's my last two for you
everybody
guys.
stays healthy, yeah, I agree with you.
I think that's the key, sis. It's the health, especially with DeGrom and Scherzer.
And Scherzer, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if
That's
those
it.
guys can pitch, 30, 32,
Lights out. Yep.
And I'm a Yankee fan too, and I'll just add, I don't know, I'm pretty sure Sis may agree with me on this. This is the first time in years, guys, take it from me as a Yankee fan, be excited because I think the Mets are closer to a World Series than the Yankees.
Oh, no doubt about it.
And I don't think I've ever said that in the last 20 years.
I think the biggest thing is when the season's going to start. That's your biggest
Right,
question.
with the lockout.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
December, but before you know it, it'll be February, March.
Yep. Daniel, what's your thoughts on are the Mets? Would you consider right now? Have they done enough for you to say you feel confident they're a World Series contender?
Honestly, and I'm normally more of a positive Mets fan. I've always been. Right now, no, just because the bullpen is so in shambles and there's still too many question marks on the pitching staff. I mean, it's just not shored up enough there's too many guys that are on the edge of being good, but also can have a horrible season. And I wouldn't bank on that as being contenders. I definitely think they need to get one more starter and an elite reliever, and then they'd definitely be in that category. Offense, I don't think would be a problem. And they also have a lot of guys with the bats who had a down year last year. McNeil, Smith, even Lindor for that matter.
Is Cano back this year?
Yes, he is back.
He will be back. See, my whole thing, and I know we were talking, since we always just talk about this with Kenny, is the Mets are a team where they just got to get to the postseason. Kenny, you picked 2 years ago, the Nationals was the same thing. Remember, if they get into that postseason, Scherzer and Strasburg and who's the other guy, Corbin. It's you just guys got to just get there because can you just imagine?
You stole my thunder, Kurt. You stole my thunder because I was going to say the same exact thing. Get there. There's a lot of ifs. You got to stay healthy. But if you can get there with those two guys and you make a move at the deadline for a third guy, you got to put him as World Series contender. That's just my opinion as a Yankee fan. I know Mets fans are more realistic.
But they do got, like you're saying, what Daniel Paul saying, the Diaz thing scares. That would scare me if that's my guy. I mean, how many times are you going to roll the dice with him? And it's okay, blew this save, come back, blow this save.
Right.
And you're talking 2-1 games.
Got to get Paul's take on it. I just say, there's two parts to the season. There's the off season and there's the trade deadline. So if you don't get somebody now, there's going to be somebody available at the trade deadline if you're in contention. So
yeah,
that's the other part of the season right there. So don't keep your heads down if you don't get the Kenley Jansen or somebody right now, because there's always a second season. Somebody's having a down season. They're going to look to get rid of their closer, get rid of, Kimbrel left the Cubs last year to go to the White Sox. Maybe you'll see Chapman go to the Mets. Who knows?
Yeah, it's possible.
Just throwing the name out there. But Paul, finish Kurt's question.
I mean, I think Met fans unfortunately tend to be looking at the glass half empty rather than half full with everything that we suffer over the years. So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic and say I don't know if we're going to be World Series contenders, but I think if we can play competitive for the whole year and then get down to September, and as they say, play meaningful games and get close and at least get into the playoffs, then, everybody's 0-0. And at that point, I'll take my chances.
Absolutely. Kurt, my very last thing for them would be unless you have another question, overall prediction. Way too early prediction, Daniel. What do you think the Mets? Are they going to be playoffs, World Series? Where do you think they're going to go this year?
I think it's either they don't make the postseason at all or they make the World Series. I mean, like you guys said, DeGrom, Scherzer back-to-back in a playoff series, no matter what else is going on with the team, makes it very, very difficult for a team to beat them. that was kind of the reason they went so far as the underdogs in 2015 because they had Syndergaard, Harvey, and DeGrom all in the same rotation.
Yep.
And with that, they were able to battle, beat the Dodgers in 5, sweep the Cubs. So I think that's huge. So it really could go either way. Like we saw last season, they were almost 10 games ahead of first place at the deadline. We were cruising, and then the wheels fell off. And that's just what, as Mets fans, what we're used to seeing so many times. So, like Paul said, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. I think we can definitely get there. It's not like, oh my God, there's no shot. Obviously, the moves we've made are incredible. It's definitely the most exciting offseason we've had as Mets fans for me my entire life. So I think if things go right, we could definitely end up in the World Series. But like we all said, you got to get there first.
All right, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. We're going to talk Mets with you throughout the season. We're going to obviously bring you back for some hockey. But thank you again for all you do for us as an intern. You're doing an incredible job. We look forward to, you doing more with us and stuff like that, getting us and getting more involved with the live shows and stuff like that. But hey, I think as a Met fan, you got to be ecstatic. And, you Met fans got Christmas presents already, a month before Christmas. So,
Yeah.
Nice job, son. Nice job.
Daniel,
Thank you,
nice
Daniel.
Good
job,
job, Daniel.
Thank you for
Let's go
everything.
Mets.
Let's go.
Let's go
Thank
Mets.
you, Daniel.
Thank you,
Thank
Daniel.
you. Have a good one.
Good job.
Thank you.
Paul, I'll take you off Facebook now that I know you're a Met fan. I'm just
So,
kidding.
Kurt, I wanted to let's move into the Giants. We had technical difficulties, Paul, so we're going to try and finish the Giants in like 10 minutes tonight, if that's okay. And then we'll get Kurt will finish off with the Broncos tonight. We'll give him the honors of his rant with the Broncos.
Yeah.
My
give us your
rant's not going
experience.
to
You went to
be.
the game. I know it wasn't our outcome we expected, but please give us your thoughts on your experience in Miami.
Well, it was nice going down there with Luby. We had a good time for the weekend in Miami. But, the game itself, like I said to you and Kurt before you got back on, the best time of the day was the tailgating before the game. It was once the game. It was
good for you.
Yeah, and quite honestly, when we were still in New York, many times tailgating at Giant Stadium was the best part of the games, believe me.
Right.
But that being said, I read a quote today from Carl Banks. I don't know if any of you guys saw it.
I did, but go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Carl Banks, who obviously is one of the most respected Giant players in history, he's had it. He's basically, and let me just read the quote, figure it out, the F out. The entire operation is broken. Make the play. And he said the loss on Sunday was one of the lowest moments as a former Giant fan and broadcaster. And I'll tell you, I walked out of that stadium on Sunday, and that's the exact way that I felt.
Yep.
So disheartening to think 3 weeks before they played against the Bucks, and you thought nothing could be worse than watching that game. And I think Sunday's game was worse, especially being there in person, because you would think coming to Miami, they had a decent chance. They weren't playing the Super Bowl champs. They were playing a team that was basically under 500 with an opportunity to prove, hey, you know what? Let's try and win 2 games in a row here.
Yep.
Nothing. I've given Joe Judge every opportunity in my mind to be successful. I don't want the Giants to go 2 out, 2 years, 2 years. But what has this guy done in the 10 and 28 games, or 10 and 28 games that they've played so far to prove that he's going to turn this franchise around? I mean, what has he done? Nothing has improved. He talked about being disciplined. He talked about playing aggressively and competitively. Where is that? I don't see it.
Neither do I.
Every game, the last 2 years, I don't see it. And I don't want to use injuries as excuses. And I know players have been injured, but you know what? It's always next man up. I don't see where the improvements come from.
There is none. There is none.
No.
No.
And another point, what general manager, and we know Gettleman's gone, but what general manager looking at this franchise, this broken franchise, is going to want to come in and have this coach who hasn't proven anything and come in and they say to him, well, we want you to turn this organization around, but here's your coach. You got to get stuck with this coach.
Well, that's the whole thing. Whoever comes in as the GM, again, this is my opinion, he's going to bring his own coach in with him. He's not going to take Joe Judge. That's just what he's saying, though.
He has to. How could you go to John Mara and Tisch and say, I'll come in. I know I can fix you guys, but you've got to bring in my coach.
Absolutely. Yep.
Would they be crazy to say no?
Exactly. You're 100% right.
Now, I heard this, Paul. I heard this conversation this morning. They were talking about it, and it's the same conversation that's going on in Denver. George Payton took over for Elway next year, and it was the same thing. Is he going to bring his own person? The only thing I would say is they say a lot of GMs, especially like younger GMs, like a Payton, or if you guys get a newer GM, that first year, their quote-unquote excuse is, well, I was the GM with your head coach. Now, I want 2 years with my head coach. So, hey, if Joe Judge hits and Joe Judge wins next year, all right, perfect. Maybe I got Joe Judge the players. But if Joe Judge wins 4 games next year, now I bring in my coach. So I just got myself a 3rd year in a contract because you got to give that GM and coach at least 2 years. So they're saying that's why a GM would kind of go in with that. All right, I'll be the GM for 1 year. We'll go with Joe Judge. But after that, it's my call, and I'll go get my guy. I agree. Yeah. I wouldn't do it, but they're saying people will do that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You keep the coach. They go 4-13 next year. You're right back to square one again, and you lost the whole year. At least if you clean the house out, at least he brings in that coach, and they're tied at the hip, and he can do whatever he wants to do then.
You don't waste a year. I agree with you.
You're not wasting a year.
I agree with you too. Yep.
I also got a question for Paul, Sis, and Kurt. I know how it's gonna steal your thunder from Bronco Mania, because I know this is probably where you're gonna go with Bronco Mania. But Paul knows we follow a bunch of Giant pages, and I've been respectfully disagreeing with a lot of Giants fans. And this has to do with the 2022 draft.
Right.
Giants are going to have 2 top 10 picks, it looks like. Now, question I'm asking is, I read this today, is the Matthew Stafford and the Jared Goff trade. Detroit got 2 first-round picks from L.A., but separate years, and a 3rd-round pick. Those picks are going to be late-round picks, most likely. This year, Rams are having a good year.
Yeah.
One, would you trade for Russell Wilson? Kurt had this question in Quick Hitters. Would you go after Russell Wilson if you were the Giants? And what would the price be? Like me, if the price was right, I'm going all in on Russell Wilson, meaning give up one of my first-round picks, give up a 3rd-round pick, and give him Daniel Jones. And you sold me, I'm bringing Russell Wilson in. Sorry, I still got a top 10 first-round pick. That's my opinion on it.
Well, Kenny, real quick, because I listened to a big-time insider on Denver, right? And he was on a podcast today when the news broke, and they said this would be what they would want from Denver. Okay? So they want 2 1s, 1-2, a 4th, and a young player on a rookie contract like Noah Fant. So you ain't getting them for a 1, and you're giving up 2 1s right out of the gate.
I'll give up future picks, but I'm not giving up both first-round picks next year. The price has to be right. We are more intriguing than the other teams because we have that number 6, number 7 pick right now.
Yeah.
good chance of even moving up because the Giants may not win another game and the Bears may not win another game. So those picks can be very intriguing. I'm not giving up both of them, but you're getting a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, in return. So I'll ask Paul first, and I'll ask Sis what he would do.
Yeah, I mean, I know a few weeks ago we talked about this, and my reaction was, no, I don't want a 32-year-old, 33-year-old quarterback. But the more I'm watching this organization, I'd say do it. Get this guy in here. I think it would show the players on offense at least and defense. The Giants are looking to win right now. So if you can bring in a winner like a Russell Wilson who would command respect, and unfortunately, I don't think Daniel Jones is commanding respect as much as I wanted to see this guy succeed. But you bring in a guy like a Super Bowl winner like Russell Wilson to this organization, it changes the whole landscape of what the Giants are perceived as. And if it means giving up even the 2 number 1s this year and a number 2, you know what? Maybe next year they win 12 games and it won't be as bad. And then we make the playoffs. Will you trade 2 number 1 picks and a number 2 to ensure that you're in the playoffs? I would right now. I would.
Couple comments. Beelan saying Giants have no cap space next year, $3.5 million.
They don't.
Murphy saying Rush just going to continue to run for his life in New York. Beelan Giants, I don't think I can do it.
But here's, I know we're running out of time for the Giants part, but I'm just going to do this, Kurt. But Sis, I want your thoughts first on Russell Wilson, and then I got one more.
Well, again, that would be the move. But you know what? Everybody can laugh, say whatever you want. Give Fromm the rest of the season. See what he can do. That kid was a great quarterback at Georgia, man. I would give him the rest of the season if I was running that show. I really would, because then that solves your whole problem, and you can use your draft picks for offensive linemen and defensive linemen, because you know what? That's what you need. That's exactly what you need.
All right,
that's my opinion.
So from the next 5, 6. Oh, and by the way, I read something late this afternoon that Glennon may be cleared.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy just said that too.
Yeah, which, I mean, don't even get me started on that.
No, again, there you go. You don't know what this kid. Give the kid a chance. Give him 2 or 3 games. If he doesn't do anything, then go back to this other guy. But until you give somebody a chance,
you don't know.
See, and this is where I think Judge is torn, because he needs to win, because I think he thinks his butt's on the line. But
he knows it. Yeah,
he thinks he can win with Glennon, and believe me, watching that guy play in person was horrible. If you think he was bad, if you watch the game, he was even worse in person.
Yep.
Guys, I got a comment. By the way, Jimmy Eiserman saying, "What's up? Giants are a mess," and this is music to my ears. Beelan saying the Broncos have about $40 million, but will need to give up a lot. The Saints are negative, minus $58 million under the salary cap. So they got to clear $60 million just to reach the cap.
I agree with Sis. Give Jake Fromm give him a chance. It ain't gonna hurt. Well, you have Mike Glennon as a starting quarterback, so give Jake Fromm a starting.
But again, you got to give the kid more than 1 game. You got to let him play a few games.
Yep, Sis. Beelan's agreeing with you. I agree with Sis. Fromm needs to play the rest of the year. Glennon is terrible. Winning is pointless at no point. So he agrees with you. I agree with you too.
And at worst, if he plays decent enough, then you can think about shipping Daniel Jones out. And if you get a high-profile quarterback like a Russell Wilson, Jake Fromm's your backup. He's not on a practice squad. He's your backup. You got a legit backup now.
Right.
Eyes have been
saying with the Giants, since Daniel Jones has been in the league, we have never had a backup quarterback to give him competition. I'm all about giving the quarterback competition, a rookie.
They said about Glennon on Sunday's game that he sprayed the ball around the field. If Ichiro or Derek Jeter sprays the ball around, that's one thing. That's not so good for a backup quarterback.
No, definitely not.
Jimmy Eiserman saying start Jake Fromm, State Farm.
That's it. I was going to read Paul's I was going to read Paul's 2-minute warning I wrote down here. He says Jake Fromm from State Farm will be starting at quarterback as Glennon is out, but we don't know that. He might be.
I know.
breaking
wrote
news.
that
He may be
yesterday.
cleared. This will be his NFL debut after being picked up off the Bills practice squad. It'll be a miracle if the Giants are competitive in this game. We're going to see because he's going out. It's going to be tough for him. He's only been with the Giants for 2 weeks, so I will say that.
The sad thing is they're going to start London if he's cleared
Yep.
protocol.
Yeah.
I know.
That's the sad thing.
And I mean, the guy couldn't hit an open receiver. He overthrew his guys. He held the ball
Thrown behind. Yeah, he stinks.
Oh my God! Now
Thanks.
you understand what backup quarterbacks why they don't play, because he's the prototypical backup quarterback that should need in the league, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Let's get our final thoughts on Giants because, like I said, we got to get Kurt's Broncos in before we end the show. We had the technical difficulties, unfortunately. Shorted us up a little bit.
Guys,
your final thoughts on the Giants this week? They're traveling to LA.
Yeah, it's just a sad situation. Being a fan for well over 50 years, it's just horrible that this franchise is broken. Even back into the 70s, and Sis, you know it well, it wasn't as bad because they had horrible players back then. They had 3 or 4 good players on the whole team compared to now. So to see what this franchise has now become, it's a laughing stock. And
yes, it is.
And that's the sad part of being a fan.
I agree.
It's one thing if they went down and they played a competitive game week after week, but they're not doing that. You don't even expect them to win. Number one, I don't expect next Sunday against the Chargers, and I think it's going to be a blowout.
Agree.
No, again, bottom line, my opinion, they need to clean house. That's it. Bring in a new general manager, new coordinators, new head coach, end the conversation.
Yeah, we could talk about this for hours about all the mistakes, all the problems the Giants have. I will say the Giants messed up in the 70s, Kurt, Paul. And, we were young, Kurt, but they messed up when they cut Mr. Eddie Siciliano.
I appreciate that.
Beelan's saying
that's when they messed up.
I don't know. I don't really know about that, but again, they really do. And all joking aside, they need to make a clean sweep. I don't agree with bringing in a new general manager. I'll give Judge 1 more year. I do not agree with that at all. No, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I agree, Kurt. We'll get into your Broncos to end the show. We'll do Bronco Mania. I know you got similar problems over there in Denver, but you're only a game out of first place. That's what kills me. 2 games out of first place, but you're a game out of the wild card. We're one of the only 5 teams in the NFL that can't even make a wild card. So go ahead, Kurt.
You know what? It's like being foolish because we're right. Like we play the Lions this week. We play the Bengals at home. We could be 8-6. We're not going anywhere because of our quarterback. I'll say this. Sunday night, they flex that game. You're in Kansas City. You're playing Mahomes and Hill and all that. And I'll just say this. Vic Fangio and that defense, they came to play, man. They gave up 16 points to Kansas City in their building on a primetime. 16, right? Your running game came to play because Javonte Williams is a beast, man. Over 100 yards.
Yeah, he definitely is.
You ran for about 140.
Yeah.
What was the difference?
Why running the ball? Why are you getting cute throwing the ball? It don't make any sense.
Sis, you've heard me. This was the most embarrassing quarterback play I've ever seen as a Bronco fan. This guy is an absolute joke of a quarterback. He can't throw the ball past 40 yards. It's a disgrace. Disgrace that this guy is. I'm telling you, as much as what do they call it? Black Monday, right? The day after the Fangio at 9 o'clock. I want Bridgewater's contract revoked. Make him a free agent. He's atrocious. For all those people, I'm gonna give him a 2-year extension. Listen, when I've said this stuff, Dak, I would pay Dak Prescott. I'd bring him there over him. I'd bring Kirk Cousins. He might be the worst starting quarterback in football. He can't throw 40 yards. He can't. He's sitting in there. And plus, he's not even, he's like Lamar Jackson, all for one read, but he can't even run. He's useless. You have Cortland Sutton. We don't throw him the ball. Jerry Jeudy. We never throw. He can't even throw. Throw the ball 40 yards up. Make it a jump ball. Do something. Yep. What's he doing? 3rd and 9. Check down. Throw it out of bounds. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Tonight, they said it. Russell Wilson. I don't care what it is, and I'm dead serious about this. You are a Super Bowl contending. 4 people said it this week that I heard on ESPN, on Twitter. You are a Super Bowl team except at quarterback. I don't care if we trade 2 drafts away. No players. Give me my whole team that I have now with Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. We would be in the Super Bowl from the AFC. That's how good. Look at what the defense did to Kansas City. Our quarterback is a joke. It's an absolute joke. But you know what? You're not going to win with those guys. And you talk, Kenny, you said something about competition. That competition, because I'm going to tell you with Teddy Bridgewater's, the Trevor Simeons, the Alex Smiths, they're like, what's the word? I wanted to do this with Dave and Matt. They're like sneaky, like I call them like the sneaky,
game manager.
Right. But what they'll do in training camp, Paul, is say you got like a Zach Wilson, right? Like I want Zach Wilson to look like Patrick Mahomes, right? That's why I'm drafting him. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but he's going to run around, make plays, gamble. But then you got these sneaky little guys like a Teddy Bridgewater. We're going to have him in a competition. So what's Teddy Bridgewater going to do? When I'm in practice, the reporters are going to say, but Zach Wilson threw 2 picks today, and Teddy Bridgewater was 8 for 8. I'm throwing out of bounds. And look at what he did. That's not a quarterback. That is not a quarterback. He is horrendous. What that performance he put on the national stage was absolutely horrendous. Like if I was that head coach, I would cut him. I would put Locke and Brian and Rippon and cut him. That's for what he lost that game as the quarterback. I mean, a joke. And I hear people saying, I want to give him 2 years, $40 million for what? He better be gone that Black Monday. Gone. And I don't care. Rodgers, Wilson, I don't care. What?
All right, so here's my question. You know, Wilson announced Broncos, Saints, or Giants, okay? Same package. Let's just say, I'm not saying what it is. Same offer. Who are you taking, Rodgers or Wilson? It's going to cost you the same. If you can only pick one, who would you pick?
I mean, listen, I think
it's tough, but who would you pick if the offer was the same?
I think Rodgers is the best quarterback in football, so I'm going to go Rodgers. But if I could have either, I'm throwing a party that night if I get either one. But Rodgers would be my number 1 choice.
Right, exactly.
I think you'd be really good.
Go. Now, let me ask you.
Win that team, and you'll have a quarterback for 5 years.
Did you guys all watch the Sunday night game?
Yes.
I didn't from Miami. I couldn't get it. I was trying to.
Okay, Sis, you did, right?
The whole game.
Now, Bielen's throwing this out. 69 completion percentage, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions with a 95 quarterback rating, and I'm complaining. Sis, you watched that game. Is he a starting quarterback in the NFL?
Again, there's a guy tonight that made a statement and he tried to backpedal that Alabama was going to lose 56-7. So, you know, he wasn't joking the other day. He thought that was really going to happen.
But you watched that game, Sis. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, like, you're going to win with Teddy Bridgewater?
No, you're not.
Come on.
You're not.
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
He's terrible.
He's a terrible quarterback. He's a backup. You know what he's good for? Say we get Russell Wilson. And now Russell Wilson gets hurt for a week. Hey, throw Teddy in there. Russell, you have 4 fingers on each hand. Can you throw? Get him back in, because go hold the clipboard. Seriously. That's what it is. But it's you know what though, Paul? And we're joking. But it's got to happen with your team too. My team, the quarterback, you just got to do it. You know what are all? You know, all I keep hearing is, but we can't give up draft picks. But for what? Who are you? First off, the quarterback class isn't even good this year. So you're gonna waste a number 3 pick on Matt Corral for what?
Yeah.
He's not gonna.
I know.
Or Pickett from Pitt.
Right, Pickett from I like Pickett from Pitt, but he's not ready. So
No.
if you
No.
get,
Nobody is.
like, in all seriousness, the Giants could win, like Paul's saying, 12 wins. You might. The NFC East is not good, and you put Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson on that team. You got to do it. You got to do it.
I mean, you look at, not to change the subject back to the Giants, but in theory, the Giants' offensive weapons with a guy like Russell Wilson. Look what he's done with Metcalf, with what's the other receiver out there?
Lockett.
Lockett.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are explosive. I mean, you put him
And average running backs,
Right.
average tight ends. Our tight end Ingram's better than their tight ends. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's
So what? I mean, just from that perspective, I think you're right. You got to put this guy in a situation. Now, granted, the O-line is horrible. He's running for his life in Seattle. I don't know what he would do with the Giants. So they would have to shore that up and improve that also. But you put him in that offensive, situation. I think they would improve at least by 5 and 6 games. Same thing.
Easily 5 games easily improves any team.
Kenny, real
Improves
quick.
the Broncos 5 games, improves the Giants 5 games. Double-digit wins for the Broncos Giants if Russell Wilson's on their team.
Beelin's saying right now Russell Wilson ain't doing blank with them now. They are 3-10. Then he's gonna turn around. See, this is what gets me the most. Do you guys think Sean Payton's a good coach for New Orleans?
I think he's good.
I think he's good, but I think his time is up with the Saints, if that
Okay.
makes any sense.
Well,
Yeah,
now
that makes a lot of that you hit it, Kenny. That makes a lot of sense.
But I mean, he's
I
a
agree
Super
with that
Bowl winning
100%.
coach, right? So Beelin's saying he's terrible, but he was 5-0 with the Saints when Breeze went down. Why didn't the Saints sign him? Then he went to Carolina. Carolina's paying Denver to make him the quarterback. The
Right.
Jets traded him, and he's saying he's 21-10 as a starter.
The problem that I did not watch the game. I listened to it, Kurt, and I don't know if you're going to agree, disagree. Maybe part of it you'll agree with. I thought the problem with the game was Bridgewater 1, but 2, the 20-play drive, and you don't get any points. That changed the game around right there. You were down 10-3 at the time. I would take the 6 points or the 3 points. Being you're running the ball down the throat and you know you're going to pass, why would you, if you're going to run the ball, go for it on 4th down because you're running down.
Well, Kenny, if you watch,
why pass the ball in that situation?
Well, if you watch where the pass went and hit the 2 cheerleaders on the sideline because he threw it out of bounds. So
I'm just saying, why would you make that play call as a coach if you're running the ball down their throat?
Well, again, you guys are talking about people. Fangio has to be gone. I mean, you know what? The way this is how it has to go next year. First person that has to go is Pat Shurmur. The second 2A is Teddy Bridgewater. Then Vic Fangio.
I'm hearing a lot about your special teams coaches.
Oh yeah, he's got to go too. But I will say this:
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Vic Fangio, but they're saying this is a possibility. If a possibility, they're saying Dan Quinn. Get an offensive coordinator, whoever Russ or Aaron Rodgers wants. But they are saying, I would sign up for this. Because again, you're not going to be an offensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson is going to run the offense, right? So get your offensive coordinator, whoever they want to work with, and Vic, you could stay on and you run your defense. I would not be opposed to that. But you have no say on the offense. The quarterback and his choice of offensive coordinator is running it. But yeah, you're right, Kenny. Terrible play calling by Shurmur, and our quarterback, insists his words, just absolutely stinks.
My very last thing, Kurt, is you did not sign, in my opinion, Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick during the season.
No.
To not bring in a quarterback next year to draft a rookie or have Teddy Bridgewater. So it's going to be one of those higher profile names, probably Rodgers or Wilson. I know you don't want Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's going to be a free agent quarterback that's going to come in and be the leader of this offense. And it's probably going to be, Russell Wilson waves his claws to the Giants, big city, New Orleans, party city for his wife. Denver? You think about it. Russ wants Denver. His wife wants the Giants. So if Russ comes down to it, Russ is going to Denver, Kurt.
But
You
here's-
might get your wish.
here's
You
the
might
only-
get your wish.
Here's the only thing I think that's got why I'm very happy. Remember, Russ is an NFC team. Rodgers is an AFC team. You don't want to trade them in your conference. You want to get them out of that conference. So that's the one
And
thing
you
I
know
like
what?
Denver's
While both
going.
of them are available, you start making the phone calls. Hey, I'll offer you this. Don't offer them what they want.
Right.
You know, okay. Oh, but then Rodgers signs. Okay, now I got to give up to Seattle what they want. Now
Right.
I got to make that phone call.
Right. No, but I'm not playing games. I got to get one of those two. If
Gotta
they're
get one.
available, I
agree.
got to go
And
get
we're
one
gonna
of those
and
two.
we'll take Wilson, you take Rodgers, and problem solved for Sis, Paul, myself, and Kurt.
And then
Our
let
problems are all solved.
and you know what? Go let Teddy Bridgewater back by Beelin's Jets, and then they'll have a quarterback controversy, a competition. And when Zach Wilson is lighting it up, but he throws a couple picks in camp, and Teddy Bridgewater comes in a preseason game and he's 14 for 14 for 7 yards, let him work on that offense. Quarterback percentage is 98.9, but he's 34th in the league of 32 starting quarterbacks with yards. Let that be Beelin's problem, not mine.
I think that's final thoughts time, right, Kurt?
Final thoughts, Mr. Paul Rosen. What's yours?
I think I've said enough. Listen, congratulations on Sis on your Alabama team.
Thank you, sir. You're
Let
a
me just say
gentleman.
that you did an outstanding job, and I'm looking forward to the playoffs. But we'll talk about that down the road. I think I've said enough about this sorry franchise that I don't need to go any further. It's sad that here we are in the holiday season, and where we can't be joyous in the respect of for either of our teams. So I can only say that let's hope things get better next year, and we have good things coming to all of us for the rest of the season, and especially.
Amen. Yep.
I'll go next, Kenny. I'll be quick. Like you said, we're 6-6, game out of a playoff, and I'll say, listen. First and foremost, I always root. Siska knows, Kenny knows. I'm a diehard Bronco fan. I will always root for the Broncos. So you know what? I rooted for Teddy Bridgewater on Sunday. Last Sunday night, I'm going to root for him against Detroit this week. I'll root for him against Cincinnati next week. But you know what? Reality is this. We have a Super Bowl team, and we have a quarterback that stinks. So, you know what? Hey, I hope we win. I hope we can get into a wild card. But the reality is, come January, come February, March, when that new season hits, and we can go get one of those two guys, we got to do whatever we got to do, because Bridgewater just does not cut it. So, I'm pumped up hearing news of Rodgers, hearing news of Russ, and I'm ready to roll. Kenny, your final thoughts.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Daniel, Beelan, and Joey Clams for coming on this evening. My final thoughts is I'm all in on Russ. I'll go on any Facebook page, Giants page, and defend my decision. Invite any Giants fan to come on that's against Russell Wilson coming over and defend my decision on it. It's my opinion. We're all entitled to our opinions. Sometimes opinions get, turn into more of arguments, but it's my opinion that I think the Giants would be 5 games better with Russell Wilson. So if you say we're going to have 5 wins this year, we would have 10 with Russell Wilson. 6 wins, 11 with Russell Wilson, and so forth and so forth. He makes the team better. That's my opinion. He's 32, 33 years old, and he wants to play until Tom Brady's age, but realistically, he'll probably be good till he's 40. So sign me up with a quarterback for the next 7 years, and I'll take my chances. And tomorrow, check us out. We're going to do a little college bowl special in place of Wits and Wagers. We'll have a little hour special picking some college football games tomorrow. Should be fun.
All right, and the man of the hour last week, Jimmy Eiserman's, by the way, saying go Michigan. Biggest win of the college football season this year, Mr. Siciliano's Alabama Crimson Tide, routing the number 1 team, Georgia, in the country. So, Mr. Sis, your final thoughts.
Yep. Media included. All the big shots, Herb Street. Lee Corso is the only one that picked Alabama. Everybody else on that staff, the Heisman Trophy, Mr. Desmond Howard, all of them picked Georgia. And you know what? And the reason why they did, and that's fine. Everybody looked at the Auburn Alabama game. That's why nobody, including Beelan and Joey Clams, gave Alabama a shot. The thing that got me tonight is you can't give credit when credit is due. You're going to start backpedaling and you're going to start making excuses. And not because I played in high school and college and was captain, tried out with the Giants. I forgot football that the both of them don't know. And when you make a statement, when you make this statement, it's not about coaching, it's about recruiting. That shows me right there you have absolutely no clue what you're talking about. So when you come at me, and that's fine, I can deal with it, but don't come at me with any of your shenanigans or your BS in plain English, because I'll eat you up and I'll spit you out just the way I played football, high school, college, and with the Giants. I'm done for the night.
When is this Alabama-Cincinnati game? Can it come on already? I'm fired up. Sis fired me up with his speech.
Man, I wish I was on the field with
I
that
will
speech. I wish I was
bury you.
playing right
I will
now.
bury you when you're making statements like not about coaching. Are you kidding me? It's not about
This,
coaching.
I recorded, by the way, I'm
let
sending
me
that
ask
speech.
you, let me wait before we go. Let me ask the three of you this: if it's not about coaching, how did Nick Saban get that line ready to play against Georgia? They were terrible the last 3 weeks, and I'm a Bama guy, and I'm telling you that. So how can it not be coaching?
Let me ask you this: Who has the better quarterback, Bill Belichick or what's his name what's his name from New England? I'm Buffalo, McDermott. Who has the better quarterback?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm
Who's
saying.
the better quarterback between who?
I think personally, Buffalo, Josh Allen's better than Mac Jones, right?
No,
It's not a fair
no,
comparison.
No.
But I'm saying I think he's got more weapons. He's
gonna-
got this coaching. That coaching totally won that game Monday night.
That's what I was
Totally.
gonna say.
Buffalo's the better team. They got the more talent, but he's better coached. He's way better coached.
Again, I was going to say Mac Jones only because of Belichick. That combination. That's like a hot dog and, with the potatoes, and you put ketchup on that, not mustard.
I mean, how hard. Listen, but he just said, line up. We're running 44 times at you. You can't stop us. New England's throwing into the rain. Do you realize Buffalo had the ball the first 3 possessions? They took. I want to say they took over at their 46. New England's 30, and then New England's 12, and they scored one time. One time out of those 3 possessions. That's coaching. That's coaching.
By the way, Kurt, I got one more final thought. I'm sending Sis's speech to Luke Fickle over at Cincinnati. Be careful, Bama. Cincinnati's coming after you. I'm sending that speech to them.
You can laugh, but Kurt nailed it tonight, and I agree with him. I don't want to hear they were down 28 to 2, and then they came back. No. Every one of these teams is in the playoffs, correct?
To win it.
To win the national championship.
Yes.
It's not marbles. I almost won, or horseshoes.
We're going to show up and show a good.
Fell off the tree.
Good,
Right. Exactly.
There's no showing good. There's either you win or you lose.
Win or you go home.
Because let's be totally realistic about this. This is my last thought. And I have 1 minute. I'll say this because me and Sis talked about this the other day. Right, Paul? All Sis ever tells me is, well, Kurt, you either want to win a championship or you want to fire somebody. Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing if I'm at Georgia. I'm bringing Kirby Smart in, and I'm telling him, hey, Kirby, you're in the playoffs this year. I want no BS. I'm giving you this playoff and next year. If you don't have a national title, you're out. Because what do we? Every year it's the same thing with Kirby Smart. I can't beat Alabama. I choke in every year. But
Saban's in his head.
But come on.
And you know what, Kurt? I'm going to watch The Water Boy just because of your speech the other week.
Yep. You're damn right. Coach Klein, you're damn right.
Saban's in his head. He cannot beat Saban, and he knows it.
All right, boys. What a show tonight. That was exciting. That was good.
We went overtime, but that's all right.
I can't even imagine what's going to happen the next 4 weeks leading up to it.
Oh, I know. It's just the appetizer right
It's
now.
gonna be crazy. But no, thank
Everybody
you,
have-
Paul, for coming on. Thank you, Daniel, Sis.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Beelan.
Yep,
Thank you,
yep.
Joey Clams.
Thanks, Paul.
Always
And
a
we will see
pleasure.
you guys tomorrow.